Let's talk about Agatha all along and the viewership numbers. Apparently, the Nielsen ratings aren't looking too good here. Agatha is falling short of The Acolyte. It seems when it comes to Disney Plus, a lot of their shows, whether it's Star Wars or Marvel, they seem to have massive viewership numbers for the first episode or potentially first couple of episodes, but then as the episodes come out week by week after that, the viewership numbers just drop off the edge of a cliff. It gets worse and worse, and it seems like this show is no different. The ratings are failing, and it's not looking good for Agatha all along. But it's kind of strange because everyone that I seem to speak to seems to be having fun with the show. I'm kind of middle of the road. I don't think it's the best thing I've ever seen. I don't think it's the worst thing I've ever seen. It feels a little bit predictable to me, but I'm enjoying seeing where it's going, and I'm hoping that it has ramifications for the larger MCU. That's kind of what's keeping me interested with the show. But anyway, with that down, let's jump into cosmicbooknews.com. Let's break down this article and let's have a look at the viewership numbers when it comes to Agatha all along. So, Marvel's Agatha ratings fall short of The Acolyte, lowest weekly rated MCU series. And guys, don't forget, The Acolyte was cancelled after just one season because of how badly it performed. So, if Marvel's Agatha show is any indication, is that going to be cancelled after one series? We just don't know at this point, but let's break this down. So, the Nielsen ratings have been released for the premiere of Marvel's Agatha series, and they fall short of the ratings for The Acolyte, which has been cancelled after one season. Agatha also looks to take the lowest ratings of the weekly released MCU shows. So yeah, the lowest weekly ratings of all of the MCU shows. So the downward trajectory of these MCU shows is just continuing to get worse and worse on Disney Plus. But like I say, on the flip side, it doesn't. You wouldn't think that this would be the case, because most people that you speak to or you see online, they seem to be enjoying the show, they seem to be saying positive things about it, so the fact that the ratings are failing to this degree is kind of a little bit strange in my opinion. So this part of the article here, guys, is just the synopsis for the show. I'm not going to read this out. Obviously, if you've been watching the show or know anything about the show, you would know the synopsis by now. So have a pause and read of that synopsis there if you don't know it and you want to have a read, but just for brevity of time, we're just going to go past this for now. So this is where it gets interesting. We have a breakdown here of the Nielsen rating charts. And as we can see here, we'll go through this list here of the top 10. So we've got Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Mendez story, number 1. We've got The Perfect Couple at number 2. The Rings of Power, number 3. Emily in Paris is number 4. Only Murders in the Building, number 5. Into the Fire, The Lost Daughter, number 6. Tulsa King, number 7. If you haven't watched Tulsa King, guys, get on Tulsa King. It's really, really good series. Agatha All Along at number 8, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives at number 9, and The Circle at number 10. I have to say, I haven't even heard of half of those shows, but the fact that Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Mendez story, is at number 1, it's beat out Rings of Power, which is a Lord of the Rings series, and it's beaten out an MCU series as well. I mean, that just goes to show that there are people watching things other than kind of these pop culture shows. And this Monsters show seems to be doing pretty good. I mean, if we look at number 1, the amount of minutes watched, it's way ahead of what number 2 is. Wow, that's crazy. So, anyway, what are Agatha Nielsen ratings? So, the Nielsen ratings reveal that the week of September 16th to September 2024, the first 2 episodes of Agatha were watched 426 million minutes. For comparison, the first 2 episodes of The Acolyte were watched for 488 million minutes. So, Acolyte beat the first 2 episodes of Agatha All Along by, an extra sort of 22 million minutes. So, yeah, it looks like Agatha did do worse than the, the opening of The Acolyte. But to be honest, Star Wars is absolutely huge. And, Star Wars, like I say, the first episode or first couple of episodes of a new Star Wars series is always going to get a lot of eyeballs watching it. But it's not so much how the show starts off, if it starts off strong. Does it end strong with a big viewership? That's kind of what they're looking for. And the fact that it starts strong and just tanks and falls off a cliff, obviously that's the complete opposite to what they want. But like it says here, Agatha ultimately came in under the amount of minutes that The Acolyte did for the first 2 opening episodes. So while Agatha is at the low end of the Disney... let me say that again. While Agatha is at the low end of the Disney Plus shows, at least Agatha cost a lot less than The Acolyte. It's known that Agatha is Marvel's cheapest show to date, reportedly around $40 million, while The Acolyte cost well over $200 million. I still can't get it into my head that The Acolyte show cost over $200 million. Where did the money go? Was it some sort of money laundering scheme. The sets look bad. The costumes, I mean, they were kind of okay. But yeah, I mean, where did the money go? How did it cost over $200 million for the Acolyte? And then it's only $40 million, for Agatha. But when it comes to money and price and finances, the budget for a show or a movie, I don't think that has a lot to do with it. I mean, look at Godzilla -1, $20 million, won an Oscar, one of the best films of the year. So when it comes to budget, the budget has nothing to do with keeping people interested in your show. You could make a low budget show for $10-15 million if you wanted to. If it's got compelling writing, compelling characters, then it doesn't matter about the budget. You could have a low budget, but as long as you have a good show, then people will keep watching it. So even though the discrepancy between 40 million to 200 for the Acolyte, I mean, I don't really think budget has a lot to do with it. But it's just the fact that obviously 200 million is a ridiculous amount for a Star Wars TV show. 40 million for Agatha, that's a better budget. They should keep those kind of budgets going forward into the future. So, what about Agatha versus other Marvel shows on Disney+? So, if we compare Agatha to other shows on Disney+, Agatha looks to have either the second or third lowest ratings, beating Echo and possibly She-Hulk, another show that reportedly cost $200 million. Why are they spending this amount of money on these shows? It's just absolutely crazy. How do they expect to make their money back? So Marvel released all the Echo episodes at once, but if we take an average per episode, Echo only comes out at 146.2 million minutes watched. Agatha, 2 episodes average out at 213. So Agatha did beat out Echo, which is absolutely to be expected. Echo is not really a well-known character. She doesn't even talk. There wasn't a lot of people that were that excited for an Echo show, and a lot of people were very, very confused as to why they were even making it in the first place. She-Hulk, the first episode didn't make the Nielsen ratings, but the week episode 2 was released, saw 390 million minutes, and then the week 3 saw 472 million minutes. We can guess fans only watched the one episode released that week, which is better than Agatha. So Miss Marvel also beats Agatha with 249 Nielsen rating for its first episode. So yeah, even Miss Marvel went on to beat the Agatha All Along show, which is quite surprising. I find that quite surprising because there's not many people that I speak to that actually care about the Miss Marvel character. Now, there's nothing really to it. There doesn't seem to have much substance to these shows. And obviously, the more of these shows that come out, the more of them that bomb, the more people get fed up with it, and the less the viewership is going to come back. And obviously, WandaVision didn't suffer from any of that because it was the first show out on the platform. So everyone was excited to see a Marvel TV show. So that's why it had such a high viewership figure as well. So, Secret Invasion, 461 million minutes for week 1, episode 1 was released. Hawkeye, the first 2 episodes were released in 1 week, which saw 853 million viewers. Moon Knight, 418 million minutes for the week 1 episode was released. I think this means 853 million minutes. I think that's what it means, not viewers. Moon Knight, 418 million minutes. Loki Season 1, 731. Loki Season 2, 446. So, Loki Season 2 actually had, really lower, substantial lower viewership than what Season 1 did. The Falcon and Winter Soldier, 628. At least another plus for Agatha is that the head of the Marvel TV said that Agatha has the best watchable return rate of any Marvel show, meaning the least amount of drop off per episode. So those bottom of the barrel MCU fans watching the show apparently like it, or are simply watching anything because it's Marvel. So that's the one thing it's got going for it. Even though the initial viewership for the first few episodes was a lot lower than a lot of the other Disney Plus series, it seems that the return rate, the audiences are continuing to come back week after week to watch the shows. The drop off is a lot lower, but the initial viewership figures are a lot lower than the other shows. So having that return of the viewership week after week is obviously a great thing. That's what they're looking for. They want to maintain as much as the viewership from the first episode to the finale. That's ultimately what their goal is. And it seems that this show is kind of keeping people coming back. I think it's the kind of the mystery aspect of the show where we have these characters, but we don't actually know who their secret identities are. And it's keeping people engaged, guessing, and thinking, who these characters could be, even though it's predictable, even though it's been spoiled online. I won't talk about the spoilers here, guys, but we all knew who these characters were right at the start of the first episode. It'd been spoiled through, toy manufacturing leaks and all this kind of stuff, so we already knew who these characters were. It's pretty predictable in my opinion. So, on Rotten Tomatoes, critics and fans are in line with respective scores of 82% and 81%. So that's really, really good. Like I said, the majority of people are enjoying the show. The critics and the fans alike are enjoying the show. But still, the viewership figures for the first few episodes still weren't good. but the return rate of people coming back to watch it is good. So, you know, ifs and buts are coconuts, they should say. Not all that good for the superhero genre. What? Not all that good for the superhero genre. 82 and 81% is really good, regardless of what genre you're in. Obviously, that's the critics and audience score. That's great, like I say, for any genre. We also launched our own fan review site, Stinky Garbage, where Agatha is presently considered garbage. So yeah, Cosmic Book News, they've done a Rotten Tomatoes kind of website that's very similar called Stinky Garbage, and you know, a movie will have a stinky or a fresh rating, I believe, and it works similar to Rotten Tomatoes, where people can go on and leave their reviews and stuff, and it looks like Agatha has got a garbage rating on that website. So, you know, make of that what you will. But yeah, when it comes to the watch minutes, it seems that it's not doing so well for the first few episodes, and you know, but the return rate for people coming back to watch it is pretty good. So, let's just go over this again. So, Agatha All Along, number 8 on the Nielsen rating charts from the week of September 16th to September 2022. So, that's where it is, guys. Number 8, it's worse than The Acolyte. I didn't expect that whatsoever, because The Acolyte obviously bombed majorly and has been cancelled after one season. So, I throw it off to you guys. What do you think about all these figures? I invite you to come over to this website and maybe have a read through it for yourself, because there's a lot of figures here to remember. It's a very interesting read with all these different breakdowns of these Marvel shows, and you know, the millions of minutes viewed on each of them. So like I said, come over to this website, guys, and read through it yourself if you need to slow down a little bit. But yeah, it's definitely an interesting read, and it looks like Agatha isn't doing all that well when it comes to its ratings, which is unfortunate because people seem to be enjoying the show. I throw it off to you. What do you make of this news, guys? Do you think it's kind of a, you know, do you think it's a non-story, or do you expect Agatha to be doing this badly? Do you think it's a bad show? Do you think it's a good show? Are you interested in watching it, or do you think it's just another kind of crappy Disney Plus show that you have no interest in? Whatever your thoughts on this show are, guys, can't wait to hear your opinions. So drop your thoughts, comments, and opinions down below, and be sure to hit that like and subscribe before you leave, and I will see you in the next one.